At the time, I was like, wow, I wish I could take photos like that. You know, one day I'll be able to take photos like that. And I'm like, you know what? Let me start as an intern. You know, I may learn something, I may not. I may, gain everything or lose everything. Might as well just go. And I was just so intrigued. And I just wanted to keep going. And I think as soon as you figure out, like, this is what I want to do, you're just like, I want to do it for a long time.
Welcome back to the final guest episode of Season 1 for the Kurative Podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Sutarji, and my guest today is Karen Capalaran. Karen is a freelance photographer and videographer based in Southern California. After being diagnosed with cancer and beating it, Karen has seen life in a new light, learning anything she's interested in to its fullest. In this episode, we talk about her journey from changing her career as a nurse to a creative, her experiences working with clients, and her goals to share her stories on surviving cancer. Enjoy the show. Hello, everyone. Before we get to the episode, I just wanted to say thank you for everyone who is watching the podcast on YouTube and listening to the episodes on all the podcast apps. There are many other ways to support the podcast. A few are to rate and write a review on iTunes. If you got value from the episode, you can share it with a friend, and you can email me at hello@kevinsutarji.com and tell me your story about which episode resonated with you. Also, when I announce my guest for the episode on Instagram and ask for questions, you can DM me your question for my guest. Lastly, you can subscribe and be part of the notification squad by opting in on getting notified on YouTube or any podcast app whenever a new episode is released. Thank you and enjoy the show. So thank you, Karen, for coming to my podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I know you traveled to the Bay Area just for the week, right?
Right.
And so I appreciate you taking time to hang out and catch up.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. I mean, like if I'm in the Bay and I know someone that's up here besides family, like I want to see you, you know?
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool.
And so for the audience that don't know, we met through the local show. Yep. And you're basically my mentor to, get through like all the different video projects that we had to go through. So I learned a lot from you, especially like learning the Ronin S. Oh yeah. Using that. That was
the
first
hottest
time.
day of LA.
Man. Yeah. That was during Eat, Play, Move.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was so heavy too. Yeah. I don't know how people like use that for hours and hours.
Right.
Well,
your glide cam was like funny, right?
Yeah,
something
it was
was
broken.
Wrong with the bolt.
Yeah, so then like with the glide cam, if you want to like adjust the weight, that knob was broken, and so I had to send it over, and then
good thing we had the Ronin then.
Yeah. Actually,
would you switch though?
It's very useful, I think, for like if I want to use two hands and like kind of have like a more robotic feel. But then like I like the glide cam because I feel like I can control it a lot more. Right. But it's just because I have more experience with it. Yeah. I'm sure you have a lot of experience with it that you know how to use it.
Yeah. I mean, there's still a lot of things I still don't know about it or even have tried. So, I mean, man, it's just a lot. There's a lot of things going on. But now that they come out with the smaller version, and I'm like, what else is there?
Yeah. Are you going to switch to smaller ones?
No, because I usually, I don't know, because I usually film with my 5D Mark IV.
That's
so
true.
It's pretty heavy. Yeah.
Other
than that, the EOS R is a little smaller, but I think having the Ronin S is a little better because then I could switch out.
That's true.
Because with the Ronin, the new one, the SC, I think it was.
Yeah.
It just holds like a certain amount. So if I need to switch over to my Mark IV, like I can't,
Got it. You have the EOS R now?
Yeah, I do.
Nice. How's that?
It's amazing.
Okay. Yeah. It's a lot lighter. Even though it's crop sensor, it still shoots like 4K, right?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. Oh, it's actually full frame.
Oh, it's full frame.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I believe so.
Oh, nice. I gotta check it out for sure.
Yeah, you gotta check it out. It's pretty nice, and it's a lot smaller. I could travel better with it. So.
Yeah, it's great for travel. It's super lightweight.
Yeah.
Cool. And so obviously we're talking about cameras. For the people that don't know who you are and what you do, why don't you talk about yourself and what do you do as a career?
All right. So my name is Karen Capalaran. I'm a creator, photographer, videographer from SoCal, and I don't know what else to say. It's kind of weird because we were just talking about this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm so used to being behind the camera
Right.
versus in front of it. So
Yeah.
I'm like looking at these cameras like,
Yeah, I'm not comfortable being in front of the camera too, so I get you. This
Right.
is like a problem that all photographers, all videographers have at some
Right.
point,
Right.
especially at the beginning.
right. Yeah. And I'm like, I know there's a camera there and it's looking at me. So every once in a while, you'll probably see me like glance over and I'm like, nope, don't look at it.
It's all good. It's all good. So in terms of like what you do, you do photography and videography, like freelance.
Right.
Do you work with specific companies, or have you worked with specific companies?
So, man, it's like a lot of it's like a blur, like how everything happens. So I'm also a nurse.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
So I've been a nurse for about 12 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, growing up in an Asian family, like you got to do everything by the book. Like you go to school, you got to, get your degree,
Yeah.
find a job, get married, have kids, blah, and like all that in order.
Right.
So I did the nursing thing and, I love it. I love every minute of it. And, yeah, so I did nursing. I had like 5 jobs at one point.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
And I was just like, let me just get this paper real quick,
Yeah. Okay. It's kind of like a sprint.
Right. And I just burnt myself out.
Oh,
So one year I was like, you know what? I need some place to kind of get all my frustrations out.
Mm-hmm.
And a good friend of mine was like, hey, let's try rock climbing. I'm like, all right, cool. So she took me rock climbing or bouldering, like free climbing. And I loved it. I went a couple times, and the last time I was like, I'm going to sign up today.
Nice.
I'm going to get this thing. I'm going to just go and do rock climbing. And as soon as I was about to leave, I literally fell from like the top. It was like 15 feet. And I literally fell straight down on the mat and tore my ACL completely.
Was that bouldering?
Bouldering.
Oh my God. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that one is without the
Without the
rope,
harness.
The harness. Yeah.
And as soon as that happened, I was like, something's bad. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I literally went to the doctor and they're like, oh, you got to do all these things, blah, blah, blah. Like months went down. I got MRIs and they told me I tore it and I had to get surgery if I wanted to do like sports and stuff. And I was like, man. So I did a lot of physical therapy. I got surgery. And during that time, I was stuck at home. I couldn't drive anywhere. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't work.
Mm-hmm. How long ago was this?
This was in 2013.
Okay, 6 years.
Yeah, 6 years ago.
Okay.
So literally I was like, you know what? Someone's telling me to like slow down,
Sure.
Slow down. Like, you don't have to get all this money right now. Like you're so young,
Yeah.
So I kind of took it that way. And then I told myself to learn something new. And I've always been creative as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I'd take my bike apart and my skateboards apart and just
nice.
Be hands-on with things.
Yeah.
So I was like, I love photography. Like I've always had a camera in high school. I always developed film.
Oh, nice.
And
old school.
Yeah. But it wasn't like, me in the dark room, like that type of thing. It was like me going to write it.
Oh,
like,
okay.
hey.
You're just sending it to them.
Right. Because at the time when I was in high school, photography was an elective. I ended up choosing band. So I was into music and all that stuff. So
what'd you play?
I played the saxophone, the trumpet, and the baritone.
Oh, those are all nice.
Yeah. So, I chose that as an elective, and ever since then, I was just taking pictures for fun, just for memories. I would just make scrapbooks and like slideshows.
Yeah.
So
for like family events maybe or something?
Yeah. So just for family stuff. And I figured like, why don't I just learn it?
Mm-hmm.
So I went on YouTube like everyone else.
YouTube University.
Right. Man, they just need to make some money, like more money, right?
Yeah.
So I went on YouTube and I just searched like, how to like, how to buy a camera, like what kind, how do I shoot like manually, because everyone's like, oh, if you're auto, then, you're not a real, stuff like that. You're not a real photographer.
Yeah.
So I just started learning. I found this site, on YouTube called SLR Lounge.
Okay.
And they were an educational, photography like brand. Mm-hmm. Shout outs to SLR Lounge.
Nice. Sponsor Karen.
Right. It's funny because I actually work with those guys.
Oh.
So the whole story was like I was on it and I was learning and I was like excited and I was like, cool. So then I started searching more and getting deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
I found a guy that does Photoshop, and his name was Aaron Nace of Flern. So he does like Photoshop stuff where he does like, all sorts of like fantasy type of Photoshopping.
Oh, I see.
And I was like, wow, like that's tight. Like I want to do Photoshop. So I signed up for a class at like the adult school, and I took Photoshop class. I took the Lightroom class, and I was like, cool, I'm learning. And then I just got to take the photos, and I got to put it in Lightroom. I can edit them. I can do whatever. And, the rest was history. And then I found out SLR Lounge was also another company with a wedding company called Linen Jerza.
I see.
And at the time, I was like, wow, I wish I could take photos like that.
Right.
One day I'll be able to take photos like that and like, be the greatest photographer in the world, right? Because you have like all this excitement. So then I looked on their website and they were hiring like assistants or interns. And I'm like, you know what? Let me start as an intern. I may learn something. I may not. I may, gain everything or lose everything. Like, might as well just go.
And you can learn secondhand, like just watching people do stuff, right?
Right. And that's how I learn. Like I learn hands-on. So if you show me something, I'll be able to do it next time.
For sure.
So I went on and I applied just for shits and giggles. And then it's funny, my brother gets a call and they're like, hey, did you sign up for like Linen Jerza? And then my brother's like, no, because his friend was the studio manager at the time. And he's like, I think it was my sister. And she's like, bring her in.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
I went in for an interview. I was super nervous. They're asking me like, oh, what type of gear do you have? I'm like,
What'd you have?
Well, I had a Nikon D7100 with one lens. It was like 18 to 55.
It's like the kit lens?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got from Costco.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And they're like, that's fine. Like you'll learn a lot, blah, blah, blah. You'll expand.
Oh, I like that mentality.
Yeah. So they brought me in and they're like, let's do your first engagement session. So they signed me up with one of the lead shooters and I went on an engagement session. And from then on, they were like teaching me everything. Like, this is how you light stuff. Like, this is a flash. This is what's called a flash. You can put it over here and like make light. And I was just so intrigued. And I just wanted to keep going. So I was like, just book me for everything. Like book me for as many like engagement sessions and as weddings. And as soon as I started to do that, I started to see how other people shot like their photos. And then, the rest was history. I still work for Linen Jerza to this day. I still shoot weddings with them. And they basically taught me everything I know for photography.
So going to photography, like, did you know that you wanted to do this more than just a hobby? Like, because like you said that you wanted to slow down.
Right.
But I'm assuming you were taking these classes or you were interning at the same time as you were nursing.
Right.
So did you feel like you were slowing down at all, or because you're learning so much too? And the
same thing is because I was so excited for something new.
Sure.
That I just wanted to do it. It's like fun.
Yeah.
It's kind of like my extracurricular activity.
Yeah.
So I would go and I'd do my nursing job as full time. It'd be 3 12-hour shifts. So I would do 3 12-hour shifts back to back. Then,
holy shit. That's so crazy. Okay.
And then I'd do 2 engagement sessions during the week, and then I'd have a wedding on the weekend. So I was still working really, really hard, but I was working hard towards something that I really, really enjoyed other than nursing,
Yeah. That probably says something about like working on something that you really enjoy versus something you might not enjoy or don't have the heart for,
And I think as soon as you figure out like, this is what I want to do, you're just like, I want to do it for a long time. Like nursing was like that for me. As soon as I got into school, a horrible student in class, but when I got into clinicals, I was like, in there with the wound cares, in there with the other nurses, like learning how to do like, change stuff and give shots and do this and do that. And I absolutely just loved it. But it's kind of the same mentality, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So
did you ever feel like this is the time for me to like just stop nursing and then just go all in with photography?
That was a hard decision because it was stability versus non-stability.
For sure,
For
right?
sure.
Because like with videography, with photography, like
Right.
a lot of times you start freelance and that's like
Right.
gig by gig, right? Versus you get a steady paycheck with nursing.
Right.
You know, for me, it's for software engineering.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to like leave that stability
Behind.
Yeah.
It's super hard. But I enjoyed every single minute of both aspects that I didn't even think about it until, so after Lina Jerza, one of my friends was like, hey, you know, I need a photographer. I'm like, for what? And he's like, oh, a pair of shoes, right? I'm like, okay, cool. So he's like, I'll pay you $40.
Oh.
I'm like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah, just take pictures of shoes. We'll go to a track, take a picture of me running. I'm like, okay. So I did.
Chill.
And I was like, this is cool. So it went on a website. And so the media outlet that I worked for was called Baller Status.
That's how you got in.
Yeah. So my friend Armando, shout out Armando, he was the one that was like, hey, like I need a photographer. I need this and this and this. Let's work together.
Yeah.
You know, let's get this out. And he was more of a writer, you know. So he brought me on and we did some shoots together. And at one point he was like, hey, I have this trip. I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, I have this trip, like a media trip. You know what that is? And I'm like, no, I don't know what a media trip is.
Right.
And he's like, basically they send you somewhere to like do like journalistic stuff, you know, write about like an experience or a brand's bringing you out to show you their new whatever it is, you know?
Oh,
so,
kind of like a new pair of shoes, like
right,
something like that. Okay.
like an event, right?
Okay.
So he's like, they're going to fly you to North Carolina. Like, what? He's like, yeah, don't even worry about anything. They're going to fly you there. He's like, you're going to be at a NASCAR race. In my head, I was
Whoa.
like, NASCAR?
Interesting.
I don't know. And
Yeah, I
he's
mean,
like,
you're not really into race cars, right?
No.
Okay.
At the time, no.
Oh, okay.
So then he was like, just go. So I went, I got on a flight and I went, we were there for like, I think 4 days. And literally I learned everything about NASCAR, from the engineering to the driving to like everyone behind the scenes, the driver to everything,
Right.
the pit crew, everything. And then I even got to drive a NASCAR 10 laps around the track.
Whoa, that's something I want to try for sure.
Yeah, and that
That's
was
so cool.
You know, and I met a bunch of people there like that were journalists, and they're like, "Yeah, I've been doing this for 10 years." And you know, I go here and here and here. I'm like, "That's a job?"
Yeah, that's
a job.
intense. That's pretty cool.
So, you know, I was going around the track 10 times, and I was like, "How fast did I go?" And they were like, "You went 100."
Oh shit.
And I was like, "Really?" I'm like, "This thing can go like 200 plus, right?" And
right.
I'm like, "I only went 100." Damn.
People just like looking at their watch, like, when
I
is
know.
Karen gonna finish 10 laps?
Right. So that was an awesome experience, and I was like blown away that someone would let me drive a NASCAR.
Yeah.
Let alone I didn't know how to drive stick.
Oh shit, that's true. I
So
can't drive
the
stick.
guy that was with me was like, "Don't worry about it. Just get it in third and just go."
Okay.
I'm like, "Okay."
That's cool though.
So I got it in third and I left, you know?
Yeah.
And the next thing they were like, "Oh, we're going to be part of the pit crew. You're going to go to pit school." So
Wait a minute, this is part of your photography gig?
Yeah.
Like you learn how to do all these things?
Yeah.
Why?
So it was like a phone company
Uh-huh.
that sponsored a race car, but so they wanted to showcase like the race car aspect of it plus the phone aspect of it. So then we would have dinners and like meetings and like, you know, hey, this is what the phone does. This is, you know, blah blah blah. Like you should check it out. And they gave us like a Samsung Note and a phone like to try out and stuff. I'm like,
Right,
wow,
right.
that's a pretty nice gift.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we did that, and I was the tire changer
That's cool.
because I was the shortest one. So then I changed the tires, and then you know got to do that, and I was like blown away. I was really really blown away, and everyone that I have met, I still like have contact with them like through social media to see what they're doing now, and man, that was like one of the funnest like gigs I've ever done. The first gigs I've ever done.
Yeah.
So from then on, like all these doors opened up for me.
Yeah.
You know, and I got to do all sorts of stuff. I was just looking today at my hard drive because I was at my cousin's classroom,
Right.
and she wanted me to share some photos, and I was going through my hard drives. I'm like, wow, I did that. I did this. I did that. You know.
Yeah.
So to look back at it, I was like, I did a lot.
Yeah. That's very interesting, because like, you know, when I think about people going to trips to do photography or videography gigs, you know, whether it's for an event or something like that,
Right.
my impression was that you're just taking photos and you're done, right?
Right.
You don't interact with that many people. You're kind of like on the sidelines taking
Right.
photos, and it seems like this is like an immersion like into, you know, whatever you're taking photos for. And so that's really cool. That's a perspective I've never heard of.
Yeah. And so another thing that kind of went hand in hand was the journalistic
Oh yeah, for
thing,
sure.
you know, and I'm not a writer.
Right.
Like,
You don't have to write notes or anything.
I mean, they would give us like, you know, hard drives, like here's the info that you need.
Okay.
You know, if you have any questions, let me know, blah, blah, blah. And as I started to write, I was like, man, I sound really dumb. Like I just sound like, you know, like just a person like, hey, this is what I did and blah, 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 blah. But
sorry,
then
you were writing as well as taking the photos?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I had to write
someone was
an
writing with
article
you.
about what I did.
I see.
And then I
see.
would supplement it with photos.
Okay.
But the photo side, I was fine. The
Yeah.
journalistic side, I was like,
Got it.
So then as I started to go to more like events and like media trips, like I started to figure out like how to tell a story within,
Right.
you know, that event. So yeah, I mean, I did a drive from Oregon to SoCal, and I basically, you know, stopped at different places and were like, this is what I could do with this car. Like I can go camping, I can go, you know, drive across Oregon,
Yeah.
you know, and like camp in the car, and all these features and stuff that I had was like amazing for me, because you'd want to know what the car does. Like
Sure.
I'm not one of those like gearheads where I'm like, there's a V6 engine, blah,
Right.
blah, blah. But I want to know what I could do with it, you know, a
Yeah.
lifestyle, like the person that will be like, I want to buy that car because I want to go camping,
Yeah.
or I like it because it fits my family, you know,
Yeah. So
stuff like that.
So definitely hearing you say that probably already answers the question I'm going to ask, but like, were you, because it seems like you're diving deep into everything that you get into. Were you the type that wanted to do more than photography because, you know, you're starting to write, right? Did you want to do some writing, like, or was it more of just like, I want to take photos, and then it happened that this all just came?
Yeah, I just wanted to do photos, because then Armando was the guy that wrote, so we would work together.
That's what I thought.
And then as soon as Armando left Baller Status, I was on my own.
Oh, okay.
So I had to do the writing, I had to do the photography, I had to do the social media content and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I learned a lot
wearing
about
different hats and stuff.
Yeah. So I did a lot of those trips, and I got to experience certain things and put them all together and start to figure out like what I want to do with photography, you know, and you know, videography and stuff like that too. So
yeah. So, you know, how did you figure out what areas you want to get into? And then how did you get into videography after that?
Man, so I got in, well, I still don't know really where I stand, like where I land, where as far as photography goes, like it switched throughout the years. You know, I wanted to do the concerts. I wanted to do,
I did too.
the weddings. I wanted to do, you know, the fashion lifestyle stuff. But every time I would do those, I would go back and be like, I don't know if I want to do that for a long time.
Right.
So as I traveled more and more, I was like, had goals for the rest of the year. Like, I'm going to travel more. I'm going to, you know, take these many photos. I'm going to try and, you know, write these articles. And then I got hit by a roadblock in 2017. So in 2017, I was diagnosed with endometrial cancer. And man, it was such a big like wall for me, because that year I was like, I'm going to go and travel the world. Like I want to see the world. I want to like hang out with family and friends and blah, blah, blah. And literally a week before, my cousin Lauren and my friend Brian and I were going to the Philippines for 2 weeks, I was diagnosed. And literally I was like, oh my God, like, am I going to be able to go on this trip? Right. And so everything just kind of settled in, and I was like, will I ever like like what my fate is, I guess you could say.
Sure.
You know, like, will I have to do chemo? Will I have to do radiation?
Yeah, you don't know what's coming up, right?
I didn't know what was coming up.
You don't know how bad it's going to be and all of that.
So luckily, when I got diagnosed, they're like, we're not going to schedule you for your surgery until 2 weeks anyway. I'm like, surgery? Like, what the heck? So they're like, go on your trip, come back and just be ready to fight. And I'm like, okay. So we left and we went to this island called Palawan in Philippines.
Right.
And it's such a beautiful place to go snorkeling and like scuba diving.
Yeah, I've heard amazing things about that island.
So we literally island hopped for like a couple of days and just, had fun. And I just literally saw like the sunset. And I was looking at it, I'm like, damn. Like, I don't know if I'll ever see this again. Like, if I come back,
Right.
And so I was like, I got to live my life. I got to live my life to the fullest. And this is what I told myself from that day. Sorry, I'm getting emotional.
No, it's all good. All good.
So I told myself, like, I need to live like it was my last day. Damn it. I knew it was going to happen. Anyway, so from then on, I was like, you know what? Everything I'm going to do or what I want to do, I'm going to say yes to. So from then on, I came back, had 2 surgeries where they took out my uterus and my lymph nodes and ovaries. And I didn't have to do chemo or radiation, which was nice.
That's good. Yeah.
So then from then on, I told myself, like, this happened to me before, like the surgery, I got to learn something new. Right?
Yeah.
So what do I learn? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I already learned photography, videography was kind of like in the back burner. And so I was like, let me learn about myself. So I started reading books about, self-help, about how, to meditate, how to, to see the world differently.
Yeah, sure.
And yeah, from then on, I was like, you know what? Let me tell my story. So I told my story of how I had cancer and all these things. And other women that I don't even know literally like messaged me and they were like, I'm having the same problem. Like, can you help me?
And where'd you tell your story?
On Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah. And I totally was like, yes, let's have a conversation.
Yeah.
And so we did. And one of my friends was telling me, like, you need to share your story no matter like what it is, because it can unlock someone else's prison.
Yes, definitely.
So that's where it hit me, and I was like, I need to share it. So no, I'm good. No, I'm good. So I decided to share my story, and I wanted to put together something that I was able to share for other people to kind of look at life differently, So that's kind of where I'm at. And the video side of it, the videography side of it, came because of that.
Yeah. Like,
I can tell a story through photos, but what better way to do it than through motion?
Sure.
So that's just kind of what I've been, trying to figure out. I still do all the other stuff, like the freelance gigs, but I'm still trying to figure out like where to tell my story or how to tell my story, but I guess I could start here, right?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, you can definitely start here. Like, for the audience that don't know, and it's pretty much everybody,
right.
You told me this story already,
right?
And so this is why, like, I'm not like surprised about your story. But there's a lot of it that you didn't tell me before, like the details about how you felt and like what you did afterwards. And so, that really hit me because like, I feel like people don't tell their story, and that's like a lost opportunity to connect with other people and to reassure them that like, yes, I went through this experience,
right,
and I survived it, right, and I became stronger from it, right, and like you can too. Right. And that's what you're trying to do, right? You're trying to connect with others that are struggling as well. Yeah. I love that.
Basically.
Yeah. And so I'm glad that obviously like the surgery was successful. Yes. You're approaching life in a different way, and taking no shits now. Like you're just gonna do what you want.
Right.
Like, I like that.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I always tell people the best way to learn about yourself is for me, like to do something that you've never done before. You know, a lot of people are scared to travel alone, which is crazy because they're like, I don't want to travel alone. I don't want to fly by myself. What if I get lost? What if, you know, I don't know where to go? I'm like, that's the whole point of it. You know, like you're your own boss. Like you can decide where to eat.
Yes.
You can decide where and when to like leave,
Right,
you know,
right.
or where to stay or, you know, make new friends. So I always encourage people to go and do that. And the people that I did encourage, like some friends of mine, to travel on their own, they're like, it was the best thing that I've ever done for myself, you know, because you tend to I guess, lean on someone else and be like, hey, what do we do?
Yeah.
And then everyone gets like, I don't know.
Right.
You know, we're like, I
no
don't
one
know.
makes a
And then,
decision. Nothing happens.
It just, so then, you know, you're your own boss and you go and you do whatever you want to do and you do it.
Yeah.
So
after the surgery, did you like, what did you do to kind of make sure that you were going through the rest of your life the way you wanted it? So like, did you ever, you know, write it down, like kind of reflect and to say every once in a while, did you do this like, you know, every year or something? And then did you say, okay, am I going the right path or whatever? Like,
so as I was recovering, I had a journal and I basically wrote all my ideas. Like I wanted to start a YouTube. I wanted to share my story, but being a creative, you're like, well, how do I tell this story? Like it's not perfect, you know, and it shouldn't be because, you know, but as a creative, like my expectations for myself is like way up here.
I have that problem too.
Yeah.
I get you.
You know, and you're like worried about, like you posted something about you're worried about views and you're worried about like, you know, people like liking things. And I'm like, that shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't. Even though like we're kind of like growing up into the social media era where we do care. Right. And we should stop caring for sure.
Right. Yeah. But it's always in the back of our mind.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I wanted to start a YouTube. I wanted to come up with a way where I can connect with other people that are having the same issues, you know? I just don't know where my place is at.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still trying to figure that out. So I went from full-time nursing to part-time nursing. And literally last month I went on call, meaning I can work as many and as little as hours I can. Yeah. And I'll still have a job.
That's so cool.
But I can get up and leave whenever I want. Like there's no obligation, right?
That's really
nice.
That's
like a stepping stone for me to go total freelance. And even though I'm like scrounging to like put stuff on my calendar right now, I'm starting to sort out all the things that's been in the back burner, you know, and I want to be able to bring that forward. And even though it's been 2 years, right. I just want to just bring it forward and you know, tell my story still.
It's never too late to tell your story.
It's never too late. No.
Yeah.
But I need to tell it, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And it may not be the right time. Maybe that's why, you know, I've been kind of putting it off. Yeah. But I'm just kind of taking it as it goes, and when I'm ready, it's going to be ready.
Well, I'm glad you're telling your story here. Yeah. Like, I
you
really
heard it first.
The audience have heard it here first. So I think that, I mean, it's a perfect time then, like, you know, the fact that you're on call for nursing and then you're not putting too much time and effort on that. You have free time to actually just think about it. Right. Just think about how you want to do it, plan it out or something. Because like, I know the YouTubers that I follow, they write like a script, or pretty much a script, right? And so like, and now you got the writing skills, right? You can write your story and stuff, and it's pretty cool. It seems like the skills that you're learning, you're gonna apply it to how you want to tell your story. Right. So yeah, that's really cool. I really like that. Yeah,
it's a work in progress, I guess.
Yeah. So then, I guess for videography, for photography, like, how do you approach the projects? Like, are you still going to do freelance? Or are you going to end up like just taking projects for like specific companies and stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it freelance still.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still kind of building a clientele, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Videography is very new to me. It's a whole different beast. So
Interesting. You're good at it, so.
I try. But one of my good friends, Carlo, like taught me a lot of things about videography, and it's a whole new way of looking at it, at I guess an image.
Okay.
Because photography is still, you can capture a moment and just freeze that moment.
Mm-hmm.
But when you add motion to it and you get that freezing moment and then you get the reaction after, is what people are like driven to see.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's what caught me, and I was like, wow, like that in between moment of like something that happens and then the follow up of it, like it's just like the things that people don't get to capture. When videography definitely captures that. So
that's why I like videography as well. Like, and I also think, in my opinion, photography is harder to tell the story, right? Because it's just one frame. Right. And then video, you get to tell the extra part, like the reaction and all of that to whatever action was happening. So I that's why I appreciate photography a lot, but that's definitely not something I can do. I love video way more. Yeah. So in terms of like those projects, then are you like trying to form the skills that you're learning from that to tell your story as well? Doing weddings, like literally the most emotional day of someone's life, like the most happiest day of their life. You get to see that emotion. You get to see how, the roller coaster of being nervous. And that's what I was wondering. Yeah. So I'm starting to learn how to see it that way, and how to see, like images or video in a different perspective. From someone else's eyes to, my own eyes, to a guest's eyes, so it's just a lot of learning. I try to not stop learning, because I feel like that's where I start to get more excited about certain things. And then you may fall into something random that you may like, but you just got to try it. So is there anything else that you're kind of interested in now that you kind of want to get more into outside of photography, videography? It's okay if not. I'm just wondering. Not really. I'm still trying to perfect my craft as a photographer. I mean, I've been a photographer for about 6 years already. Right. So I can't say that I've mastered everything, because I haven't. I mean, we never gonna like know everything, right? Right. So and then also videography, like there's just so much to learn, from Premiere to editing to coloring to color grading, man. My least favorite thing. Color grading to, audio, thinking about like, oh, I got to place this here and like capture this here, and like kind of put your mind like 2 steps ahead. So when you're constantly learning though, is there a point where you're kind of like tired, and do you have a work-life balance now, or is it more ingrained in each other? I want to say like, I feel like I have balanced it out at one point, and then it just gets off balance. Like it's just a constant struggle of trying to balance like the work life plus like the editing life plus like the shooting plus like the clients that you get. It's just, you just never know what's going to happen. So I feel like trying to balance it and keep it balanced is kind of a struggle. For sure. And it's always going to be, and I just have to accept that, But as far as that, like, I just got to keep it moving. Have you burned out since then? Yeah, I have. I've done back-to-back weddings before, and I was like, I'll never do that again. Yeah, that's tiring. Weddings are tiring for sure. I've just shot weddings and I was tired. Can't imagine like... It's a lot. Yeah. I can't imagine doing other things and then like doing a second wedding right after. I literally have to take a day off after a wedding because I feel like I got hit by a truck. Yeah, for sure. But it's just running around. Yeah, but it's just the satisfaction later on of seeing the couple like, thank you so much. Like, you guys captured my day. Like, you can't wait to see the photos and, how excited they were It's definitely rewarding.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Definitely.
one thing that people don't know is that like with weddings, even though there's that formula of like how a wedding goes and stuff like that, you're still running around because there's so many things going on.
Right.
Different weddings are different.
Right.
Like,
Super different.
And I feel like, I'm sure you've run into experiences where you're like, something wrong really happened.
Yeah.
And then you're like, what do I
accidentally
do?
delete a clip.
Yeah. Oh, I did that too.
Yeah.
On accident. I deleted the footage of the bride during the ceremony.
Oh.
That was all bad. I was so sad. I felt so bad for the first shooter that like pulled me in to the gig. I was like, oh man, I can't do weddings. This is it's too stressful.
Super stressful. But yeah, I mean, I've gotten to do a lot of other things too. Like you mentioned, I shot some video for Food Beast.
Yes.
So for people that don't know, Food Beast, it's like it's a food blog. Yeah. So, and they do a lot of like cool little news videos on different food like places. And one of my best friends, Reach, lives there. He works there.
Right.
Best friend Reach works there. And he was one of the first people that ever like believed in photography for me. Like I had a camera, but he's like, come shoot.
Right.
Come, not for Food Beast, but at the time, but come shoot like photos for this site or something, you know. So he was the first one that believed in me. So when he got onto Food Beast, he was like, I have an opportunity for you.
That's
and
cool.
I jumped on. I did my first Food Beast like actual video the beginning of this year. And we went to Vegas to do stuff with Best Friend, with Roy Choi's restaurant.
Okay. It's cool you get to travel for food. That's like my dream job.
Yeah. And then you get all the leftovers after you get to eat and try
That's
it
always
all.
fun.
It is. It's super fun. But I definitely was nervous because it was kind of like my first big gig for video. So I was, trying to get room shots of like clean shots and like, and I'm pretty sure the editor can probably hear me cussing in the back, like, oh shit.
Yeah.
No.
It's okay. They put music on top of the footage. It's
Right.
It's all good.
So we did that. And then, I filmed another one in Texas for Food Beast, for a show. And yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah. Does it get tiring though, traveling to places and then like working, and then I don't know if you have breaks during those times, right?
Yeah, we have a little bit of breaks.
Okay.
But it is tiring. But I don't have to edit.
That's true.
So
that's true.
I just shoot and then
hand it over. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if I did the editing, I'd be like, yeah, I'm gonna pull my hair out.
Yeah, for sure. How do you prevent yourself from doing that? Like, how do you prevent yourself from burning out, from getting too tired, and like just saying, I'm gonna take 2 weeks off or something and not do anything? Or do you do that? Because sometimes we need it.
So
right?
it's funny because when I travel for like work, like photography or videography stuff, it's tiring because you have to constantly think about what you're doing, how to shoot it, and blah blah blah. But when I come back home and I'm like burnt out, I travel.
Oh.
So
I mean,
it's like one
nice.
of those, like, so I'll come up, to the Bay for a few days and just kind of chill out with family and like hang out and then, recollect myself. Like the whole drive here yesterday, the 7 hours I drove, I literally was like the most therapeutic thing I've ever done.
Oh, I mean, were you driving by yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't have to interact with anyone.
Right.
You don't have to do any work besides just focus on the road.
Right. So
that's
I
pretty nice.
focus on the road, think about my thoughts, like kind of, listen to music, podcasts and stuff like that.
That's
so,
always nice.
It was nice to kind of clear my head that way.
Yeah. And you're doing something different from what you were stressed out about, right? It's not like you're doing videos even for travel. You're actually doing something different, which is driving and listening to podcasts. Right.
And traveling.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Traveling, I think there's two types of traveling for sure, right? Yeah. Traveling for work and traveling for fun is like, in my opinion, totally different. I've done that before, right? I went to LA. I felt like that was one of the craziest like weekends, you know, just
Yeah.
to travel to LA, film 2 events,
Right.
and then like I didn't really have time to even see anything.
Right.
I think I wanted to go to Howling Ray's.
Yeah.
That one time we were
Yeah.
driving, I was like, man, I can't even go there.
Right.
So-
And it's so packed.
Yeah, the schedule was packed, but I mean, it's fun.
Yeah.
But it definitely gets tiring.
It
And
does.
then
It
traveling on your own is just way
Yeah,
more
yeah.
relaxing. I went to New Orleans and Texas recently. It was like a back-to-back trip.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of the most relaxing weeks I've ever had.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything. I just left whenever I wanted
Right.
to, did
Right.
whatever I wanted to.
Yeah.
It
And
was
that's
cool.
the best thing, you know?
Yeah. Do you have any plans to travel anywhere else right now?
Yeah, I'm going to New York for my birthday next month.
Oh, cool. Happy early birthday.
Thank you. And because usually my birthday lands on Thanksgiving.
I see.
So I'm always like, all right, my birthday
Yeah.
and Thanksgiving.
Yeah, yeah.
So then I don't get to do anything because it's always the holiday, you
Mm-hmm.
know? So this year, for some reason, the Thanksgiving's the week after.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I'm going somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to New York.
Yeah.
So
Talking about, I guess, money then,
Yeah.
because like traveling obviously is expensive.
right.
Traveling is like expensive depending on what you do, obviously, but
Right.
you know, after having cancer, and then like kind of having this epiphany saying,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna live my life to the fullest, live like
Right.
it's my last day. How do you look at money now? Because money could be like, I want to save for when I'm 67,
Right.
versus like, I'm just gonna enjoy my time.
Right.
Is there a balance for you right now? Is this
Man,
kind of like, fuck
you know,
it?
yeah, I had a lot of thinking after the cancer thing, and
Right.
then from then on, like a couple of like friends have passed away, accidents or health wise or whatever, and I was like, if you saved all this money for your retirement and all these other things, like you die tomorrow, like you have nothing, like
Yeah.
you don't.
You didn't experience anything. You
No.
didn't use it at all.
Right.
Yeah.
So money to me it's nice, but if I'm able to go somewhere and experience something for the first time, then I'll spend the money to go do it. I save as much as I can here and there,
Yeah.
but it is tough, especially freelancing, because I have to find those gigs to fill my calendar.
Sure.
And if I don't, then all of a sudden I don't get paid, right?
Yeah.
So it gives me that urgency to be like, let me work with you. Let's do this. Let's so
It's like a balance then.
right.
Like,
So then at the time I was doing nursing full time and then freelancing photography. All my photography money would go into the savings.
yeah.
It's kind of like that extra income, right? Then like my nursing stuff would be like for my bills and my car payment and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Now that the roles have kind of switched, where nursing's like I get like 3 days out of the month, and then I have all my freelance gigs. It's kind of switched. So all my nursing stuff will go into the savings, and then all my freelance stuff will just be like fun money
Sure. Yeah.
or whatever,
That's good.
So I try to balance it out. It's still a struggle.
Yeah.
Finances are definitely something that nobody really talks about.
Right.
You
And
know?
I'm definitely trying to like be open about that,
Yeah.
like in these podcasts, and
Right.
like just for people to feel comfortable talking
Right.
about it, and then sharing ideas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I want to know how a freelancer spends their money,
Right.
tries to get money and stuff like
right.
that.
And you never know. The thing is too with freelancing is that you never know when you'll get your money.
That's true.
Like sometimes they'll be like, all right, send me the invoice, and I'll send you the invoice, and like 2-3 weeks later you'll get a check in the mail.
Right. Right.
And I'm like, dang it, like I need that money today.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of balance that out a little bit. And I've cut back on the smaller things that I don't need, like subscriptions.
Yeah.
Nothing
Everything that's unimportant, you just get
Right.
rid of it. Right.
Yeah, anything that's unimportant. I sold a lot of like shoes that I didn't wear, clothes that I didn't wear, stuff I didn't use.
Yeah.
So that was trying to live the minimalist life.
Yeah.
But
That's what I'm
it's-
trying to do too.
It's been a struggle because I'm like Marie Kondoing everything, and I'm
Yeah.
like, does this bring me joy? It not now, but maybe it will later. And then I'm like, I'll keep it.
Oh man. Maybe like after 6 months you'll come back like, did I use this and stuff
I know,
like that.
I know.
Like I think there was a trick where from like these two guys, they're called the Minimalists. You pack everything in boxes,
Yeah.
and then whatever you need you'll unpack it, right? And then
Yeah.
like after 6 months or 3 months or however long you're comfortable with, you're like, if I don't use this, and I didn't care about it, I'm just gonna get rid of it.
Yeah.
Just maybe a tip.
Yeah.
You can try.
My cousin Lauren does this hanger thing.
Yeah.
You you put it where like facing forward if you've used it or something, or like
interesting.
You face it backwards if you haven't used it or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I saw it in her closet and I was like, that's a good idea.
Yeah. That's cool.
So at the end of the year or like the month, you're like, all right, I didn't use this, so I'm gonna toss it.
Yeah, that's definitely a good indicator.
Yeah.
And I've heard that before. It's pretty smart.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to get into clients because when it comes to working with clients, there are obviously different types of people you're working with. So some are easier to work with, some aren't. Some know what they want, some don't.
Right.
How do you work with them, and like how do you approach different projects with these clients?
With clients, I try to see what they want first, and I tell them to give me examples of like, what is it that you're looking for? You're looking for an interview like style, like more moody, more like bright and airy, like what do you like? And
kind of like a mood board. Have you
yeah. So they'll send me a mood board of like what they want, and then I kind of just go off of that. And then I ask questions as I go. You know, if it's like a client for like a fashion brand, you know, like what kind of, you know, look are you looking for? Industrial, like something cool, like hip, hipster, you know, like city, desert, you know, stuff like that. And then I'll just go off of that. And most of the times my clients that I do give me full creative freedom, which is nice. So they'll be like, okay, you know, this is what I want shot. I just need the top downs, like the close-ups and whatever, and you do you. And I'm like, okay, cool. So
when you work on these projects, I mean, obviously there's a type of feel that you're comfortable with, that you're really good at, and there's other ways to create a video that you might not know. Right. Like, how do you approach those? Because I know, so I've had experiences where I have my style, right? It's kind of like minimalist. It's like, you know, slow-mo and like more cinematic. Right. And then someone's like, oh, do something like more high energy, super crazy, tons of transitions. And like, you know, if I'm getting paid, for sure, I'm going to try it out. Right. But yeah, how do you approach that? Because sometimes you might not do as well, right? And then what happens there?
So yeah, for photography, I try to look at the brand and see what they're about, like websites, Instagram, whatever. And I try to see what they like. And I'm like, okay, let me try and mimic that, you know. For video, it's a little tougher because a lot of people are like, I need that pan and like, the, you know, this and like the sunrise and this and this. And sometimes you can't even capture that, you know, like some people want drone shots and you can't even fly, you know. So it's like, how do I get a drone shot? Right. You know, so you have to figure out like, do I, you know, call somebody to get a permit? Do I just do stock images? Like what? And some people just don't understand that concept, you know, of like, there's certain things that you just can't do.
They're like,
you know?
Why can't you do this?
Right.
I see other videos.
Like you can't make that explode. Like, no, I can't. I can't. You know, it's not feasible. So, you just have to just try your best. Like I just try my best, and I give all that you know, everything that they give me, and I ask a ton of questions.
That's good. Yeah. So,
and I try to just meet at the middle.
Yeah.
And go from there.
How do you handle pricing?
Ooh, that's tough.
That's the one I have like so much trouble with.
Yeah,
it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, definitely pricing's a lot different because you have to say like, oh, you got to know your worth, right? Right. And I'm like, well,
I don't know my worth.
I don't know my worth personally. Like you could tell me like, yo, your stuff is so good and like, you know, blah blah blah, and I'll still be like,
yeah, that's exactly me.
You know.
I get it.
So as far as pricing goes, I went to a workshop for it. So I used to do a lot of product photography. And I went and they were like, all right, this is how we price our stuff.
I see.
And they were like, we price each photo that you take is like $25 or $20. So for example, if it's like a t-shirt, it's like front and back, it's $40, you know? And then if they have like shorts or, you know, sweats or sandals or whatever, it's like each photo is $20. Okay. And then from then on, you can like raise your prices $5, you know? So that's kind of how I would price like my product photography.
Yeah.
And then for like lifestyle stuff, it would be like two outfit changes, depending on like maybe like an hour or 2 hours, depending on, you know, how many shots they want.
Sure.
You know, I could charge anything from like $250 to $350.
Yeah.
You know, so it just depends. Like, I feel like I don't price myself where I should be because I feel like I'm not that great.
Interesting.
You know?
Yeah, I wonder, like, because with like freelancing, I feel like I've read articles where people negotiate or they do a lot of price like experiments, right? Like they'll sometimes push it pretty high and then like pretty normal for them and stuff like that, and then like see if people bite. Right. And like I still haven't figured that out yet. Yeah. I've read a lot of articles about it, but I'm still not doing a lot of gigs where it's paid. Right. And then you know, sometimes I just want to do it for free because I want to help people. Right. But that gets a little dangerous as well because you're just doing free stuff and not making money, especially if it's your full-time job. Right. And then they're like, oh, can you do this? Yeah. Can you do that? Can you do this? Yeah. But I also ask if they have a budget. If they have a budget to work with, then yes, I will work with you. You won't get the full like package thing, but I'll get you what you need, you know, for whatever it is that you have, and we'll work from there, you know. But sometimes I'll do that. Like sometimes I'll throw a number out and be like, this is the pricing. And sometimes they'll bite and you'll be surprised, you know? For sure. So, yeah. I think like for sure what has worked for me so far is like I've done a lot of free gigs for people. Yeah. And they referred me to others that are willing to pay. Right. Like, and I'm not saying that like that's the best solution or best strategy, but it's worked for me, at least for now. Yeah. And so, you know, shout outs to all my friends who I did videos for, and they're referring other people, you know, to my work. So thank you. I mean, that's how you start, right? Yeah, for sure. I mean, I started doing like video stuff of just family. Yeah. You know, or whatever my cousin gives me, like take pictures of my students. I'm like, all right, cool. You know, and it's just practice for me. It's practice, and it's also a different perspective of what, you know, normally, you know, so. Yeah, it's tough. Pricing is tough. Yeah, I think freelance is a lot harder than what people see. Right. Yeah, and there's a lot to really think about to kind of create your business, create your brand, and pricing and all of that. Yeah, so, it's tough. Yeah, well, maybe you can like document that as well, like talk about what you've thought about and stuff. That's because that's something that I've definitely wanted to know, and a lot of people are like they don't know how to even just start. Right. You know, so. Right. That'd be cool. And then it gets in, video for like that. Super in depth. They're like, all right, now I got to go mileage and like, right. Oh man. You know, like equipment and taxes. Oh crap. Yeah. All that stuff. I'm not really good with the tax. No. Tax stuff. Seriously. I think I'm going to have to, you know, learn more about that this year. For sure. And next year. So cool. Well, I think that this is a perfect segue to like the IG questions. Yeah. There's a lot of people, I told you already, a lot of people that ask questions. Shout out to everyone that, you know, that sent in a question. I'm kind of curious to see what people are asking. Yeah. Okay. So the first one is from Suko says, what is your motivation and inspiration for your creations? I think just life in general. I feel like we live life kind of, you know, we kind of live life, what's that word am I looking for? Like on autopilot? Sure, yeah. So definitely. Like all the experiences that I've ever gone through or have done, or like other people's stories is what drives me to tell mine and to tell others too, or other stories, or even, you know, just to create something fun, you know, so. Who kind of, which videographers and photographers inspire you to do that type of work? Is there someone that you follow on YouTube or anything like that, Instagram? I mean, I've learned a lot. Like Peter McKinnon is like the top for me. You know, Peter McKinnon is like, he's like, I just want to be him. You know, like his 2-minute Tuesdays are really great. Tuesdays. His vlogs are so good. I mean, Casey Neistat's like one of the OGs. Yeah, you know? For sure. There's another guy, I think it's YC Imaging. Okay.
He's more of like music videos,
Mm-hmm.
but he also does like, gear review and stuff like that. And he teaches a lot about like how to do music video type, shoots, which is kind of like, I kind of want to try one.
Right.
But I don't know. It's kind of fun to kind of learn that aspect of it.
Might as well try it and see if you like it or
yeah.
not.
Who else? Photography wise, I look up to this guy named Justin James.
Mm-hmm.
He's a concert photographer.
Okay.
I've seen him grow from like, him being like an agency to now, and he's like doing festivals.
Yeah.
So
that's something I've always wanted to try, like doing shows. Well, so I started doing shows this year where, I have friends that are DJs and shout outs to Smile High, David from Smile High and Shecky and Nobody Important. Like those guys allowed me to create videos for them.
Right.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm too old to like stay up until 3 a.m. now. Like I wish I did this sooner, but it's still fun.
Yeah, definitely.
I definitely want to try like a festival one day.
Yeah.
It might be tiring, but it's definitely a goal.
It's one of my goals is to get into a festival and shoot and also go on tour with a music artist.
Oh, that'd be so sick.
Yeah.
I would like to try that actually.
So
Rich Brian, like hit me up. 88 Rising.
There we go.
I wanna like follow them. I feel like obviously because like Rich Brian and Nikki are Indonesian,
right?
And like my parents were from Indonesia.
Yeah.
I just feel like I want to follow them.
Yeah.
And shoot videos for them.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be such a cool like gig.
All right, that's our goal.
Yeah.
Our big goal.
Yeah, gig goal.
Cool. Let's see. If you are in this is from Nanru85.
Nanru. What's up, Nancy?
If you're in a creation funk, what do you do to get inspired?
Ooh, in a funk. I usually try to get out and
like outdoors.
Outdoors, yeah. To get out of the funk, I gotta get outdoors. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I would just go to the beach, do something that I haven't done in a while, just to kind of let my mind just kind of rest because it's always running.
Yeah.
Just I guess traveling is like my most thing to do. Like I just try to get away. Like what is that, Southwest?
Yeah.
Want to get away? Like that's me. Because I'm
cheap tickets.
Right.
Just go somewhere.
I'm the type of person that's like very spontaneous, and I can't stay in one spot. Yeah. So if I stay in one spot for too long, I'm like I gotta get out.
Yeah, I'm like that too.
So I have to like always be constantly moving.
Yeah.
So.
And I think like so one of my guests, Steph, she's an artist and kind of like us where we edit in our rooms or something like that, and she does art and she edits photos in her studio. Sometimes she just goes out and like talks to people, interacts with people, and not bring her phone or whatever. And I think that's always great too, because your mind is like totally somewhere else. So
and I've been into like video games.
Oh, nice.
Again,
what have you been playing?
Well, I love like Tetris is one of my all-time favorites because it's just like, it's Tetris. Like I always played it when I was younger.
Yeah.
But there's this one that one of my friends got me into. It's called Homescapes. Mm-hmm. So it's like kind of like Candy Crush, but then you get to rebuild like a house as you beat levels.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I would just do. Like if I came home from work, like I'll just chill out and just play that game. Yeah. And then I'll just be like, okay, cool. You're
still thinking because like puzzle games and then you see progression and stuff like that.
But it's a different type of thinking, I guess.
For sure.
So.
Using different parts of your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Cool. Dang. Suko says, had a lot of questions. Shout outs to her. I'm going to try to get everybody's questions.
How many did she send?
She sent like at least 5.
Oh, geez.
I'll just ask one more from her since she asked so many. What would be your dream event to capture?
It would be a festival or a tour.
Like who, if specifically?
Man.
Do you have someone that you really want to create a video or take photos for?
There's just so many great artists now. But I've always loved I've always wanted to be a part of like Drake's crew.
Drake. He looks like he's super fun.
Right.
To
like,
hang
you
with.
know, like it's just like a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel like I can deal with that.
Yeah, yeah.
So
That sounds fun, actually.
shout out Drake. Drake, hire me.
You heard it here.
OVO.
If you get hired, you can thank
Right,
me.
right. There you go.
And hit me up.
There you go.
I'll be your second shooter.
There you go. I'm just going to put that out into the world.
Yeah, yeah. You never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Fambam asks, how would you describe your style with photo and video?
My style. For photos, I would probably say I like the more journalistic type of photos where I can capture someone in their own element, not knowing. I mean, I fell in love with that through weddings. So like during weddings, I would do creative shots. I'd be in the bush, like in the back.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like shooting with a long lens, like into
through
like yeah,
the bush,
shoot
like
throughs.
an opening. Yeah.
Yeah, shoot throughs, shooting creative angles that no one really would kind of see, you know, or even think of. So that's kind of where I fall in love with that type of photography.
Right.
So I guess journalistic, more photography.
What about videos?
For videos, I'm still trying to figure that out.
Okay.
You know, I'm still trying to play around with like different like transitions and how to slow-mos and like more cinematic, not cinematic, more fun, more like hype. So it's just, I'm still learning about that. So we'll see.
And it probably depends on like what type of video it's for, right? Like if it's an event, it's probably more fast paced. If it's like, I don't know, food or something like people walking, weddings is like cinematic and all that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. That's what I'm trying to figure out too. I'm trying to figure out a style. I have a sort of style, but trying to figure out like what do I need to apply for these type of videos.
Right.
Still definitely trying to learn that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wait, who was that from?
Oh, Fambam. He's like a friend that I know from this dance studio in San Jose. So,
nice.
Yeah, shout outs to Fambam. For anyone that is listening, he just got his gear stolen in a car, like his friend's car.
Oh,
so he has like a GoFundMe. Check him out.
Oh my
Check out the GoFundMe. Support if you can. Fambam, we love you.
That's the worst.
Yeah. Yeah, it sucks. But it happens a lot.
I know.
It happens all the time. It sucks.
I know.
Shelly Bees asked, what drives you to do what you do?
What drives me to do what I do is, man, a lot of things. Family, friends, just my own story, like giving it out to the world for people to listen to and to relate to. Yeah. I don't know.
That's a big question.
It is.
For sure.
It is. I think it's just everything, you know? But yeah, specifically like, you know, my family, definitely myself.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I think that's definitely important. Like as long as you do it for yourself, you know, you can do it for other people, but it has to be for yourself too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. Because then you start thinking about other people and like, then you start to get in your head, like, will they like it? You know, so as long as you like it or I like it, then that's all that matters.
Cool.
So
shout outs to Shelly. Okay. Tim Chan Media. He's a friend that I know.
Okay.
How do you get more clients?
How do I get more clients? It's mostly word of mouth.
I feel like that's very important, like referrals and all that, right?
If you make genuine relationships with people in the past, you know, past clients, past friends, like someone's always going to need something. Someone's always going to get married. Someone's always going to, you know what I mean? Have like a first birthday or whatever. There's always work, but it's always just word of mouth for me. Like I'll post something and someone will be like, hey, I have this thing. Like, you want to do it? I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, as long as you create that community and clientele,
it's super important. Super important.
Yeah, that's good. Rod for Daly City.
What's up, Rod?
I don't know these people, so I'm glad you know them. What have you learned about life through your photography?
Oh, that's a big question.
That's a big question too, yeah.
Life's too short. Capture everything, you know? be that annoying person at the restaurant with a big old light and taking food photos.
Yeah.
Because you never know, just do it. Like, just take the photos, capture everything. Like, people are like, oh, you're so annoying with like the camera or whatever. Like, just enjoy the moment. I'm like, yeah, but like, I want to capture some sort of the moment, so
Yeah.
I mean,
Do you have a problem with that balance sometimes, do you think?
yeah, there's times when I'm like, I should take this picture, but I want to enjoy this, moment.
Yeah.
But like, the photographer in me is like, this is such a nice lighting. This is such, a nice moment. So I'll just capture it anyway.
Yeah, I think for me, like, my problem is because I don't do photos. I do a lot of video. So if I travel, I used to always take video, and then I don't edit it. So I'm like, what am I doing? I don't get to experience it, and I don't get to create a product out of it.
Right.
So for traveling, I don't bring my camera. But for other things, I'll definitely bring it around just in case. I bring my camera, but just in case.
Yeah.
But I don't pull it out every time.
Like, they say the best camera you have is the one that's in your pocket, which is your phone.
Yeah.
So
especially the new iPhone.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Apple sponsor me.
It's crazy.
Yeah, they're getting a lot better, the cameras on the phones.
Yeah, the night mode, I was like, wow, so much cleaner.
Yeah.
So
Janelle, 2 hearts. I think she's your
hello,
cousin.
Janelle. Yes.
Okay.
My cousin's wife.
Okay, cool. What is the common misconception about being a freelance photographer / videographer?
Oh, man. Wow, Janelle.
That's a good question, actually.
Misconception?
I mean, we kind of talked about a little bit where it's like you have to do a lot more than and like it's kind of hard to find clients, and it's not consistent, but
like, photography and videography are two old, like, separate beasts.
Yeah.
I feel that it takes a lot more videography wise, like, you gotta go to audio, backup cams, all sorts of stuff, where in photography you just have to have your lighting equipment and then your camera, and then that's it. But with video, it's like, I have to light it this way, I gotta move this light.
I feel like you need a team to do it sometimes.
Yeah,
it's
can't
hard
do it
to
by
do
yourself.
it by it's hard to do it by yourself, and even if you're doing it by yourself, something's gonna happen. Like, you just got to do what you can. Like, do your best.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I feel like I need a team sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe just one more.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last one is from Elo in Focus.
Nice. Hello, Carlo.
What is your gear of choice? I think this is just a fun one.
He would ask that question, because Carlo is my, like, mentor in video.
Okay, cool.
So for him to ask that question, I'm like, come on, man. You already know what gear I have.
Yeah, it's just a fun one.
Yeah, for people that don't know, 5D Mark IV. I have the 24-105 f4. Also used the EOS R, and then like 7200s. But I really like, I literally started photography with just a 50.
Right.
And so I saw a lot of things through that lens, and I loved it because I was able to, like, really move forward or backwards, and see the angles versus, like, just zooming in and zooming out. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, Ronin for video. Yeah. And that's pretty much it. I try to keep it simple.
Would you ever move to Sony?
I had a Sony for a long time.
Mirrorless too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I had a A6000.
Okay.
I had that for quite a while.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, and I was like, it's kind of too slow for me, so I moved to Canon. I was at Nikon first,
right,
and then I moved to Canon, and I had a Sony. So when I moved to Canon, I sold the Sony, and then I got a Fuji.
Oh wow, dang! You tried everything, every brand.
Yeah. So Fuji is kind of like my travel, the travel camera that I can just take anywhere. It's super small,
right,
and lightweight. But I don't know. I feel like I just pull my phone out most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, for anyone that like doesn't have camera gear, like the phone is your best friend. Yeah, you can do a lot with it.
And friends come to me and be like, "What's the best camera I should get?" And I'm like, "Your phone."
Yeah, for sure.
Start with that.
It's like you already have it. Yeah. Might as well start with that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So I guess the next question is, what is next for you? Like, what are your short-term plans? What are your long-term plans? Mm-hmm. And then,
so short-term plan. Right now, I'm like in the stage of organizing footage. I've had hard drives of just footage because I would film things, or like I'd shoot things and I'd deliver stuff. Yeah. And then I'd have like extra film, like extra stuff that I'd film, or like photos. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to organize like my files and my hard drives.
Yeah. I need to do that too.
Yeah. And just, I feel like I need to start on a clean slate. Mm-hmm. I redesigned my whole room into an office so that I can focus more on my craft and my creativity. And the long-term goal, to go on tour. Yeah. So I don't know. Dream, I mean, I want to go on tour. I want to try, festivals. I want to try something bigger. Yeah. And I know festivals, they don't do it on their own. They have, teams.
For sure.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to put that out there.
For sure. Dream big. Put it out there. Someone might be listening.
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Cool. And so if people want to follow you and your work and everything, where should they go?
Right now it's just Instagram. So KDC_creations. And yeah, I have a link to my, I guess, latest article on Baller Status there. Mm-hmm. So you can find it there, read it, watch the video, and then you could just click on my name and see all the other work I've done for them. Yeah.
Nice. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me. This was so much fun.
Yeah, it was great catching up
I'm
with
a little
you.
Calm now. I can feel like I can talk in front of a camera.
Right.
But it was cool. I enjoyed it.
Cool. Thanks.
Thank you.